Oh, a secret. I'm a really hateful person. That's not good, but I just really am. And it's like people don't really understand what hatred really is. And I don't really think it's like the antithesis to love, but rather it's passion. And I love a lot of people a lot. And if I ever get the idea or the feeling that somebody that I love is being mistreated, like I get like an unhealthy hatred. And I don't know, this doesn't make sense, I know, but like, and I don't like that about myself. And I'd love to get more help for it, but you can't like tell people that, like, oh, I hate people, because like everybody says that. It doesn't really have a lot of meaning, if that makes sense. Because like hatred is like very loosely used, like kind of like, oh, I hate that movie or I hate that song. I guess like the feelings that I feel is just kind of like like you said, like really intense emotion and passion, and that's kind of like what I feel, if that makes sense.
Can I interject? Is that okay? I was gonna say, I mean, like that's a perfectly normal response to have, like especially if it's something that has to do with something that you're passionate about, especially if it's like your family or like your close friends or something like that. If something were to kind of impede on those certain types of situations, like let's say, you're at a bar and some guy's creeping on one of your girlfriends, then that's a perfectly reasonable reaction to have because that guy's a scumbag. It's all about context. For thinking like that, you're just a very passionate person.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like I agree, but it's like there are times where something will happen with someone, and it's like I don't know if I should get like help for that. I don't know if it'll get worse, because like I've kind of thrown some relationships away, like friendships, relationships, and because I've gotten so mad at people before, and I don't really know if it's like ideal. I'm like a naturally like very composed person, so like if I'm like really angry at someone, I usually don't let it show, I'll just kind of like avoid them, or like I like talk to myself a lot, just kind of like not like a real coherent conversation, but it'll be like just like voicing my thoughts, like, oh, this person, like, God, that was so horrible, then what a piece of shit, like how horrible, how abhorrent, blah blah blah. I'll just not like associate with them, but if they come to me, like, and I'll be like, oh, I hate you, blah blah blah, because I don't like drama, it's just not ideal. So I just avoid people. Like I'm somebody that like I do this in relationships. I give a lot of hints, or I kind of let like my actions speak. There's a Latin idiom, acta non verba, which is actions, not words. So that's kind of like what I live by. Like ghosting has a lot of like stigma behind it, and I guess it depends on the person, but it's like I get accused of like ghosting people that I've known for like 3 weeks. Now if it's like someone I've known for years, that's one thing, but it's like, Bessie, if you're just like a little like a buddy, it doesn't matter. Like
it's
you
basic
know somebody for
decency
3
just
weeks,
to tell them.
yeah,
honest.
not totally. But like some people get so bent out of shape, especially if it's on like VRCHAT, they'll be like, why are you ignoring me? But I'm like, Bestie, I'm busy. Like I've got stuff going on.
Yeah, we all have our own lives. We all have our own shit to do and stuff. Like I have, like one of my friends is in Virginia, is training to be a Navy SEAL. One of my other friends is a full-time teacher. One of my other friends is a full-time DJ for a wedding company. And I have my own, full-time job. So like, we're all busy doing our thing.
Oh yeah,
so,
that's
like,
kind of different though. Ghosting is when somebody like tries to contact you and then you don't reply. It's somebody initiates and you don't go forth with it.
I'm talking about,
like... I'd like to ask Aeon, so you say you're against like ghosting somebody that makes the attempt to speak to you. Why would you want to associate with someone that clearly doesn't have time for you? Like, if somebody doesn't care to reply to you, that's their problem. Like, why do you like what's the problem?
Because I do not automatically assume that people are ghosting me. I assume they have stuff to do. But if they go on with that for a long time, then just it's not common decency. You would want somebody to tell you, oh, I'm sorry, I just don't want to talk to you. Goodbye. Or something like this.
That to me is like rude, and that's just almost like kind of, maybe it's a cultural thing, but like if I don't know, like I'd much rather just be, kind of like
Like most of the time I don't really talk. I'm usually kind of, I like to just sit and watch people, right? Like that might be kind of weird, but it's like that like helps me. Like I don't like being anything social that like drains my energy. So instead,
Yeah, me too.
I watch people interact, and that fills my social gauge, you know? It makes me like, it makes me feel like I'm interacting even though I'm not, but like it's a little weird, but it makes me feel comfortable.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that many like friends in general. Like I do have a nice handful, but most of them are online, and like this is kind of just a really nice escape from the horrible crushing weight of reality, you know? Since I'm an adult, people don't care what I'm into most of the time. They're like, okay, whatever. I embrace the term, the saying, I am cringe, but I am free. I've been going hard on that shit. I'm like, I don't give a shit if people judge me for if I like animal ears on people. Like, it really, like, what are they gonna do? Yell at me? Who cares? My mom was just very disapproving and very much like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You like what it really pushed us against each other. But eventually I was like, you know what, mom's not gonna support you, so I'm gonna support you because I am cringe and I am free.
Now I'm thinking about it, bro, because like they told me I was adopted recently, and so I mean nothing really hit right away. When they told me, I thought it was like a joke at first, but I was like, why would they joke about that? You know what I mean? They're not really a joking type. And my dad started crying about it. And I was like, I really don't give a shit if I was or not. You know what I mean? Because like I thought I was a part of them. You know what I mean? I thought I was a part of them just because the way it looked.
Well, I mean, if they raised you, honestly, bro, like DNA, like just because you guys are related by DNA does not make y'all family. You know, family is more like how they treated you and shit. So, you know,
I always felt neglected in my family and shit like that. I always distanced myself, and like I never told my parents about all the feelings and shit that I have like held on for all these years, just because I don't feel like telling them and making them feel like shit. Like I don't want to see them cry about that shit.
but you have feelings too, man. Like you can't be too concerned with the feelings of others. You gotta watch out for yours too.
But it's like, you know what I mean? They don't show it, express it, or like even really talk about that stuff. You know what I mean? My whole family is just basically supposed to be happy and shit like that. But then like since like I felt like so isolated and shit like that from them, I was getting hella depressed about it. I realized when they told me about my mom and shit, she had EPD, something it's like a relative thing. You know what I mean?
That I've never met my biological mother. When I was born, you know, my mother passed away. Then I don't even have any memories. So I live with my father and my mother, but she's not blood mother. She is just like my mother. She's kind. Dad married my mom when I was like 1 year old. Basically just like my mom, but you know, not blood related. You know, it's no difference. There's no difference because, you know, she's been there since the beginning.
That's a pretty hard question to answer, but I'm gonna be completely honest for you. That's something I don't really wanna tell anyone. Not even that guy knows it. Honestly, I'm more egotistical, like even Ilium, like the guy that was here before. More egotistical, I just really only care about myself.
Yes,
Don't
you
worry.
are.
But I actually have a pretty hard time to, how do you call it, empathize with others?
Usually I've been that person who goes above and beyond when it comes down to trying to maybe help somebody else or understand how they feel, things like that going on my way. I've had plenty of people, you know, who have been going through very difficult times, you know, and I've tried to understand where they're coming from, things like that, because obviously you don't always know what's going on in their headspace. Everyone thinks differently. Yeah, that's what makes being human kind of shitty. But with certain things,
I'll give you like a fun little example. When I first met him, my first 2 words to him were "fuck off," and now we're best friends. Yeah, that's the kind of person he is.
yeah, I walked into class,
Yeah,
I
this guy's
recognized
cooler
him
in
from my
real
middle
life.
school, and I was like, hey, I think I recognize that. We're gonna be friends. I walked up to him trying to introduce myself to him, and he like put on his headphones, started clicking on the computer, and I just smiled. Man, this guy, he's gonna be my best friend right here.
Yeah, that's basically me right there. That's basically me right there. Just more reformed.
Well, because we're across the country from each other. Like I'm in the north, he's in the south. Because we haven't seen each other like in person in what, like going on 5 years now, 6 years?
Probably, yeah. We hate
Yeah,
people
almost
that
every day
much.
now. No, he just needs his, you know, emotional support person. It's okay. It's okay to admit it.
Put that in the video. Put that in the video.
Only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing.
definitely don't make fun of people who have relationships in VR because it's actually kind of a cool thing to make friendships and have a relationship with somebody like across the world. Because whenever I first did VR, I was kind of like, haha, it's kind of funny. But now it's like, oh, it seems like kind of serious. It's something I never thought I was gonna do. Like in VR chat, no matter the time or day or what you're doing, you can just hop on and talk to somebody for like hours and hours, and talking about like personal shit and stuff like that because they're going through. No, I don't really want to get into what they're going through, but like other people I also know really come to VR chat like escape and stuff like that, and I hear like a lot of like people are depressed, so I just like make sure I'm there for them, and that's why I tell people to be nice because you never know who you're talking to in VR chat and what they're going through.
I guess it's just being able to interact with people in like such a immersive way, you know? It's like, it's so different than like text chat or voice chat alone. You know, I can grab this, I can grab this, or I can sit on his shoulder. It's just kind of cool. Come and try VR chat. It's really great. Come try it before Facebook gets it, you know?
It's not even like a secret, but like I recently realized that I'm asexual. That's not really like a secret though. I just haven't like told people. I don't know. That's like the biggest like surprise thing I have, I guess, since I'm just like not a person with a lot of secrets. So asexuality is like a whole is like a spectrum, like being gay or like bisexual. But asexuality for me is I just feel like no kind of like sexual attraction at all. I was born this way. It's just always how I've been. It just was kind of like putting together a puzzle and realizing, oh, that's why I'm like that.
See, now you got the mind juices flowing. I definitely keep the fact that I played this game kind of secret because a lot of my friends and family, they don't really like understand this game too much, and like they just see it at face value. Especially like people who are like around my age, they just see this game as just a bunch of like anime girls like running around and all this and that. And to be fair, there are, but I've also met some really cool people on here, and like I enjoy socializing with people, but not with people in public. And that's why this game I kind of like gravitated towards. A lot of people in my personal life don't really understand it, so I just kind of leave it on the wayside. I mean, it's all like just poking fun. I'm kind of just, probably looking into it too much, but like they're like, oh, you're about to go in VR and get another waifu, and I'm like, dude, no, it's not. I don't do that.
Ooh, that is a really good question. And lately I feel like I'm getting to that age where I'm starting to like reflect on a lot of shit I did. Like you say you're 19, right? When I was 19, I was really like in the streets, like let's just say like I was really like just getting out the house, and I was like constantly getting into like fights and stuff, and it was just like a lot of shit that I'm not gonna really get into. But I don't know, now that I'm getting older, I feel like adults are really just kids that have been here longer. Like nobody really has this shit figured out.
I'm talking about like real life, not online.
Well, a lot of people have really real like friendships and even relationships online. Like it's definitely unorthodox, but I wouldn't like pass it off completely that they're just online, because I know people who have found like years and even like now it's coming on decades long marriages from people they've met online. So I think we're past the point just in internet like accessibility that we need to stop just deducing online relationships as it's nothing, because they can be very real and very serious. I've had like a mix of relationships both online and in person. I had a relationship like during COVID where we met like online, and they came over like to where I lived, and they lived with me for like a month, and it was really nice. But yeah, I think it really depends on the person, because like personally, like physical affection obviously is like it's a human necessity. I mean, it's evolutionary. we're species rather that have to be mingled with each other, and there's definitely like a necessity for physicality for most people. But for some, I really don't think that's the case. There are people that really live online and that are happy doing it. And, there are people that work online, there are people that live online, and there are people that just date online, And I think there's definitely like a certain age bracket of people that are more likely to have like successful online relationships. Like I think if both people, like have a stable income and they both have the means to kind of like, potentially meet with each other. But personally, I've had seriously like some of the most intense romantic like relationships online that have totally eclipsed real life relationships. So I guess it depends on the person, but yeah, it really doesn't matter. At least for me personally, in real life, like I have kind of like a demeanor that I'm expected to upkeep, you know, like not quite. I'm definitely not antisocial. Like I'm much more extroverted than introverted, but like, you know, I feel like I have an obligation to maintain a demeanor in real life, you know, like be a certain person, say certain things, don't say certain things, you know, like society. We live in a society, but you know, when like I'm online, there's just not as much of like a definitive barrier, if that makes sense. Like I can kind of be myself a little more. I can say things that maybe I wouldn't say in real life, and I think just like subconsciously I become a much like more likable person.
I basically have no in real life friends, so yeah. Well, because I mean, a lot of the people that I have talked to online, I've talked for years and years and years, and I would consider us pretty close, right? You know, to some people, just not interacting with people in real life for like an extended period of time. Like I've made acquaintances and stuff like that, right? Or like people from work that I'll talk to, but they're not like anybody that I would like text like, oh, let's go hang out or let's go do, right? Like I think mainly what happened was it was moving away from all my friends, and that made me get online more because I didn't have friends. I had to make new friends, right? And even then, like when I was in California, I made a few friends, but we never really hung out too much outside of school. And so that's when I started playing, you know, like Xbox a lot more. And then after that, I went straight to work. They were jobs where you basically had no interaction with anybody, you know? Didn't really have time to socialize with coworkers or anything like that, right? And so that also continued. As soon as I got home, you know, I would just get online and talk to my online friends. And then I went into college after a few years. I got like super depressed to working because of the social interaction or something. I'm not sure. I just didn't see, it was pretty bad just because I didn't see a point in working at the places that I worked. I was just miserable, and I ended up going to school, but I basically didn't talk to anybody at school. I would just go to my classes, do my shit, and then leave. So I think that's kind of how my transition went from just being like, I was always going out, I was always hanging out with friends, like I almost never played video games, to like just being a complete video game degen. Those, you know, few years of just not really being able to interact with people. I was just gonna say, it's definitely a lot harder to make friends as an adult than it is as like a teenager or whatever, right? And like keeping those friends, especially just due to the nature that everybody's so busy, they have such different schedules. It's like you really have to put effort in both sides to like make an actual friend.
That they used to date somebody I know, but the person that I did know also talked to me, like romantic shit talked to me. No, it was like, so we talked and then we stopped talking, and then next thing I know, my friend comes to me and is like, hey, like there's this guy that I'm talking to, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, like who are they, you know? Come to find out, it was that person. I ended up telling her about it because then like later on we found out that he was also trying to get at our other friend. He was something.
I've been gaming since I was like 10 years old on dial-up connections, so you guys probably never had dial-up, but I played the first Call of Duty that ever came out in existence back in the 90s. So I've been gaming for years.
Do you know the Souls game at least? Like Dark Souls?
So no, the only game I play right now is Overwatch.
Oh damn.
Any secret I'm willing to share? You mean like some personal shit? Honestly, like I'm a little bit of a narcissist or whatever. I don't love going into worlds and like having totally random conversations with people. This is awesome talking to you, but talking to a lot of people, it seems like what's the point? They're just kind of grabbing objects and goofing off. The reason I'm dipping into VR chat right now is because I would like to make a VR chat world. Not because I want to go and have a lot of interactions in that world. I want to create something and then see people stoked to be there.
Kindness is contagious. When you are kind, you inspire others. Be the spark. Spreading kindness merchandise available now.